Okay, you might get a little message saying accept and whatever coming up on your screens. Cool. One of the interesting things about digital marketing is, in actual fact, probably we shouldn't be talking about digital marketing anymore. There should not be this delineation between digital marketing and non-digital marketing. It's a kind of false and artificial differentiation, and one which arguably the CIM needs to get that together and kind of start to ignore, because virtually everything that we do has some linkage between digital and non-digital. There's always some crossover between the two of them. Who here has a smart speaker? Anyone have an Alexa and things like that?
Yeah.
Yep, you do. Do you play the radio on it?
No, I don't, but I'd like to listen to music and I set alarms and
okay, that's because most of them, if you have an Alexa, you can actually play radio on it, which is quite neat. Now, one of the interesting things is that we listen in the evenings to something called Greatest Hits Radio, which has got Simon Mayo on it. It's kind of like his old Radio 2 show from a couple of years ago, but he's now doing it again. You guys are too young for this. It's very 70s, 80s and 90s music, so you're way too young for this. But Greatest Hits Radio, when we play it through our Alexa, is quite interesting because it identifies... So she's talking in the background because she heard me say her name.
That's brilliant.
It actually identifies where you are in the world. So it identifies that we're in Cambridgeshire, and it plays a localized version of a national radio station with localized adverts inserted into the actual stream. So I'll try it now and see if you can actually hear what she's saying. Alexa, play Greatest Hits Radio.
Greatest Hits Radio station Suffolk from Planet Radio. Yet to be held back by members of
Alexa, stop. So did you hear that? She actually played Ipswich and Suffolk. And what will happen is that we will get a whole bunch of people with very, very broad Suffolk accents advertising local funeral parlours in Ipswich, local tyre replacement businesses in Ipswich, Avenue Taxis, which is an Ipswich-based taxi firm, all of these kind of things. And they are linked through. So whereas when you normally listen to a kind of a radio station on a radio, you just get, national adverts for that particular, which they've sold. Greatest Hits is actually got salespeople are saying, right, we can identify when someone is living within 40, 50 miles of you, and we will play adverts which are specific to them. And that'll be Avenue Taxis, and then you phone up a number and you'll get through to the taxi firm and stuff like this. So this is really very interesting because it's taking a lot of the digital technologies that we take for granted these days, and then merging those into phoning up a local taxi firm, not using Uber, but phoning up a local taxi firm. Whereas if we play Greatest Hits Radio on our DAB radio in the other room, it will just give us the generic national adverts because it doesn't know where we are. Little Alexa in the corner there does know where we are, and she's linking those adverts to our physical location, which is amazingly funky if you think about it, because she's actually taking our IP address from our system going, oh, that IP address is related to a bunch of IP addresses which I know come out of the Sky broadband network in and around Suffolk. So I'm going to send those people Suffolk adverts because I think those people are more likely to be interested in Suffolk adverts and respond better to those Suffolk-based adverts and get a higher call-through rate on those adverts. So, everyone's a winner apart from me because I have to suffer a whole bunch of people talking to me about Hadley Tyres and Avenue Taxis and local funeral parlours in Ipswich offering special deals. Anyway. So the market is growing massively. And it's not just for this kind of thing. It's, you know, every poster you see on a bus stop has got a URL on it, a web address on it. Lots of them will have QR codes on them so that you can actually click on them to download vouchers and special offers and stuff like this. Now, is that digital or is that not digital? Yeah, it's a paper poster on a bus stop, but it's got a URL on it. So the call to action is digital. So, you know, is that, and Jamie, there's a lot of people who are now doing QR coded menus. So you can actually click a QR. Do you use that yet yourself?
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah. So you can actually click on a QR code and the menu turns up on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it goes straight to our ordering system as well. If you
Yeah.
want to do.
And the same with Wagamama. You can actually use the app in the Wagamama and pay.
Yeah.
And you just say, I've paid, and they don't have to bring a card machine to you because it's all linked together. And it's but I'm sitting using an app inside a physical restaurant. Is that app and the ability for me to order and to check a menu and to check, you know, and then pay, is that digital or is that not digital? You know, where do we break the points up and so forth? So we don't really have this clear delineation now. And another interesting thing, which particularly in the business to business world, where the process of a purchase, a customer journey, as they call it, is quite long and is quite convoluted. You may actually have online and offline touch points going through. So you will have someone using something like search engine optimization or a promoted message in LinkedIn, driving people to your website. You'll then, from that website, they'll download a white paper, they'll print that out or then read that, then they'll ask for a web chat, followed by a meeting, followed by other stuff. And then there might be, you know, booths at events, whenever events start coming up again, where people will come and you'll collect information off their business card and you'll put them into a newsletter, and then they'll send out a newsletter and they'll look at the newsletter and they click on the newsletter, come back to the site, ask for a web chat, ask for a meeting to be organized, and so on and so forth. So all of these different things are part of the customer journey, and that customer journey is quite long and convoluted and has different gatekeepers within that customer journey. And so which bits of that journey are digital, which bits are not digital? Well, they've all got an element of digital in them, because every time you interact with a customer, hopefully you've got an entry in your customer relationship management system, CRM, where you're saying, yes, we spoke to them, we sent them some materials, we sent them a sample, whatever we did with them, we collected the information at a show or whatever. So you have all of these different touch points and so forth, and it's all kind of digital. And some of it's, you know, slightly more physical, and some parts of it's slightly less physical, but there's no real separation in that respect. So really what's going on is very, very interesting and very, very different. Another thing, which is, where is this going? On Friday, I had my first haircut of the year, which was a tremendous joy for everybody, and particularly my wife, because I was starting to look like a tramp. Now, usually for men, we kind of wander past a walk-up barber's, no appointment necessarily, and just see there's a spare chair, and we just wander in and get anybody to cut our hair. You know, it's what men do. But obviously with COVID and everything else, that's no longer possible and practical. So the local barbers around here are part of a new app service, which is called Nearcut. If you've got a phone, you can find this Nearcut, all one word, Nearcut. And what this will do is it will find your location based on your phone and saying, oh, Carl is in Cambridge area. And it will then say you've got X number of barbers in our group near you, and half a dozen of them have got spaces in the next 2 days, and you can book an appointment and stuff like this. None of them have to individually run their own website or their own app for this. They just use this one big service, because one of the problems that you would have if you were a small 4-chair barber is that you can't justify running your own website, because who the hell's going to know about your website? You know, and the time and effort it would take you to create that website would be massively complex compared to the revenue you'd get from it. Whereas with this app, you know, they can use this one app and it'll find people and it'll bring basically people together. And I mean, it's the same with, you know, Deliveroo and everything else. Who's used Deliveroo in the last year? Yeah, Deliveroo, Just Eat. Which ones?
No.
No?
No, I must be one of the few people in the country that I don't use services like that.
No, we don't either, but that's because we're too far out. And
well, to be fair, one of our local restaurants did takeaway, and I think they used either Just Eat or Deliveroo, and it was in Bishop Stortford, and I did try to order through that route, but yeah, we were too far out. We're just south of Saffron Walden. We're in Rickling Green, and trying to get anything here, taxi, delivery,
yeah,
quite difficult.
Yeah, same with Uber. Uber doesn't come here either, and stuff like this. So it's an absolute nightmare if you're further out. But obviously, one of the things that, you know, our local, not very good Chinese takeaway used to have a service where basically they used to have one guy who was the slightly slow brother of one of the chefs who basically sit there with his motorcycle helmet on and his moped outside, and he would do the deliveries for them. You know, and so you'd ring up the local Chinese and he'd trundle around to your house and deliver to you. And that wasn't really kind of sustainable because, you know, every restaurant, every pizza place would have to have their own guy sitting outside on their van. Now they use Deliveroo and they use Just Eat and so forth. And they don't actually have to have their own guy doing that. They just ship it to this guy. It's very interesting that none of those services actually makes money yet. Deliveroo and Just Eat just don't make money yet. And it's really interesting because their models, their business models, if you're into this kind of business model type look, don't easily scale. If you double the number of sales through Deliveroo or Just Eat, you have to have twice as many guys on bikes simply because of the way it works. And they're making tiny amounts of money for each meal that they deliver. And there's no real way of making it massively cheaper. They get a few slight economies of scale, but there's no real massive economies of scale in that business. And it's really difficult long-term to see how those businesses are going to make money. Even because they're, you know, massive TV adverts and everything else, and they've got to have all the IT systems and they've got to do all of this stuff. And it's really difficult to look at their route to profitability in those businesses. It's really fascinating to see what's going to happen in those areas. But that's going to be an interesting area. But that again is linking to the digital. You know, it's the app. But then there's also the TV adverts and masses of TV adverts, all of which have got the call to action of ordering through the app on your phone or whatever. Another thing there, which is really showing about this, is this marketing where you have the adverts in the middle of the football. It's Domino's pizza time, order now for half time, delivery and stuff like this, or on the TV, which then has a call to action to put it to go onto your phone. And it's assuming this multi-device, multi-channel activity happening, you know, in real time. So you're getting an advert through the TV, and then your call to action is for you to pick up your phone and do something on your phone. And it's really interesting how they're doing these multiple channels going on in here. And it's the same with TV betting. Do any of you watch much TV sport?
Really?
No. Have you got partners who watch a lot of TV sport?
Nope.
No? Oh, you're so lucky. My wife is a massive sport fan, and I suffer quite a lot of sport. If you have seen much in the way of TV sport, if you're around someone's house and they're showing a football match or something like that, you may have seen these kind of things. That in the before the match and at half time, there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of ads for betting on the game. So that's either betting before the game or in-play betting. So Arsenal to score first, or Spurs to score in added time, or whatever it happens to be. And again, this is all this linking of the broadcast media through the TV and the actual online through your tablet, through your phone, through your laptop, or whatever. One of my confessions in the world is that any guesses where most online sports betting is? No?
Not sure.
Most online sports betting is based in Gibraltar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because of the
it is
laws.
based in Gibraltar. Bizarrely, but it is based in Gibraltar.
Is
And
that
my
because of
confession is that I
betting
actually
laws?
built the data center in Gibraltar where the
Hmm.
majority of the world's gambling is actually hosted.
Wow.
So unfortunately, I am responsible for quite a large chunk of the online gambling world. And it's based there because it's outside a lot of legal constraints and restrictions of lots of countries, because most people can't stop people betting outside of the country that they're based in. So it's quite a handy place for a lot of these gambling companies to be based. And Gibraltar's got 30,000 people in it, and it makes tens of billions of dollars of money every single year out of online gambling. So it's a scarily profitable business. But the interesting things are that they do what's called this in-play betting, so that if you're at half time, you'll have adverts which saying, Liverpool to score next, 5-1, or whatever it happens to be. And those odds will actually be generated in 10 seconds with a 10-second lag on them, and then inserted into the TV advert electronically. And the TV advert is produced electronically. It's not just a pre-recorded advert. Those odds are generated based on the play of the first half and based on the betting profiles which are happening already. And those odds are generated essentially real time, live or betting odds, which is
It's clever.
scary as anything. And who knows where this is going to go. Who watched Blade Runner a couple of years ago? Anyone seen Blade Runner?
Yeah.
No? Minority Report? Yes? I say it's just to you all, take a look at, if you can get pirate copies of Blade Runner or Minority Report on YouTube, take a look at what's going on in those films. Particularly Minority Report, which is actually quite an old film now. It's about 10 years old, I think, something like that. Where basically you get onto a public transport, and the public transport scans you, identifies who you are, and projects adverts for you into your face. Yeah. And the same with Blade Runner, the adverts actually interact with you. So you have a giant billboard and it's interacting with you. Now, this is happening now. We are not in science fiction land anymore. This is what's happening to us now. When you're on Facebook, you're getting a lot of ads which you are seeing as, oh, that's relevant to me. Oh, how did they know about that? I was only talking to my partner yesterday about that, and then suddenly I'm getting ads for it in my Facebook. Because everyone's seen this happen to them, haven't they? Where
Yeah.
you've been talking about something and you're starting to see adverts about it. And it's frightening, because this is personalization to the nth degree. This is absolutely tight personalization to you. And personalization is almost the 8th P now in those 7 Ps, because what digital can do is it can take this information about your behaviors, about your demographic information, about your behavioral information, about what it already knows about you and people like you, similar groupings, and target adverts to you so tightly. It is almost as if they're reading your mind. And it can be really, really scary what's going on in there. If Facebook and Instagram are just the scariest places to be for advertising. And we've all been advertised to them. And you click on one advert Or even now, if you just slow down your scrolling, so you just pause your scrolling on an advert, they will register that as you having an element of interest in that ad. And you will see more adverts like that, simply because you didn't scroll past it quickly enough. And I can see you're all very, very scared by that.
It is terrifying.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where is this stuff going? We are going to be looking at a lot of what this technology is and how this technology works and how this can work for us and so forth. And things like this personalization. Where does personalization stop and digital stalking start? And I'm not talking about digital stalking in terms of, individuals stalking you and trolling you and sending you nasty messages. I'm actually talking about corporation, people marketing to you. Take, for example, the Victoria. You remember the Victoria program with Gemma Coleman as Victoria? And it had Lawrence Fox in it before he went mad. As Lord Palmerston. My daughter is massively into history. She's studying history at university, so she's really into history. When we were watching this program, we were talking about Palmerston and all the kind of cool things he did and all this kind of stuff which was happening and everything else. And when I went onto Amazon next, in my recommended reading list was the biography of Lord Palmerston. Now, I had never searched for that. I don't have very little interest in history. There was no way that they could, from my browsing behavior on Amazon, identify that I should be interested in the biography of Palmerston. And how my phone listened to me, and it did listen to me and heard those messages, even when I wasn't talking to it, even if it was just sitting on the side arm of the sofa next to me, it heard this information and it stored it away, and then it started marketing to me based on that information. Now, Amazon will tell you that they don't do that. They will claim and they will swear to their blue in the face that they don't do that. But it happens too often for it to be a coincidence. What's going on in there? So what we're trying to do is learn how to do this in an ethical and profitable way, where we're getting good return on investment, where we're not stalking our customers, where we're not annoying our customers, where we're not scaring them away, but where we're actually able to generate a positive return on investment and make our businesses work better. So hopefully we'll do it nicely and we'll do it properly and we won't become nasty. And digital disruption is where we are. And the last 12 months have been the most disruptive time for everybody in any way, shape or form. And it's not just the physical disruption of having to work from home and all of these kind of things, but it's disrupted the way that we work, the way that we behave, the way that we actually interact with the world around us, and in particular how digital businesses and digital marketing have to actually change to reflect this. So it is quite frightening and scary what's going on in this area. Obviously, Uber, as long as you're not in, like me and Loretta, in the middle of nowheresville, Uber is a fantastic service, it's a fantastic opportunity. The biggest taxi firm in the world who doesn't own a taxi is Uber, and you know they've changed the way that taxi firms like Avenue Taxis operate. 888 Poker, one of the gambling companies based in Gibraltar, for which I apologise. Obviously Deliveroo, we talked about Deliveroo. Airbnb, biggest hotel chain in the world, which doesn't own a single hotel room. Anyone ever used Airbnb?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How did you find it? Positive?
Yeah. Really good.
Everyone's silent. Are you all muted? I
They
think
were
it's because I'm
speaking.
recording actually, so that you can't explicitly talk. Now, Airbnb is quite interesting. But one of the interesting things a lot of these companies are doing, Compare the Market, obviously a company which could not exist without digital marketing and those bloody meerkats. meerkats themselves are actually really, really nasty animals. Seriously, they are nasty, nasty animals. If they're in the wild and they see a road, they will send their children across first to see if it's safe. The murder rate in the meerkat world is actually higher than it is in humans. They are more likely to murder another meerkat than a human is likely to murder another human. They are the nastiest things you can imagine. So, yeah, it's an awful, awful, awful animal. But compare the market, and all of these kind of companies are massively disruptive, because what they are doing is they are changing their thought processes. Essentially, businesses are in the business of taking away your problems in exchange for cash. Every business has a business model which says, you have a problem, give me some of your money and I'll make your problem disappear. And so Uber and Airbnb and Deliveroo will say, you need a taxi, you need food, you need a room. Give us some of your cash and we will sort it out for you. We will find a way of finding somebody who out there as an individual who will actually take away that pain, take away that problem. Compare the market. I need car insurance. I value my time too much to spend an entire day getting 15 quotes from 15 different companies to get my insurance and to compare them, you know, filling in all the different forms. I will fill in one form with compare the market and get the money, get the service from them. Compare the market make about 25% profit margin. So 25% of your insurance premium when you buy from Compare the Market goes to Compare the Market. And you think, well, Compare the Market, who are the customers of Compare the Market? Essentially, this Compare the Market has two different kinds of customer it has to market to. It has to market to you and I, people like us, saying, you've got a problem, you need insurance, car insurance or house insurance or whatever. We'll take that problem away from you. We'll make it easier for you to get those things. But Compare the Market also has another bunch of customers. And those customers are the insurance companies. Because the insurance companies have got to say, I've got a problem. I am Scottish Farmers Friendly Insurance Company, minuscule little thing which used to do crofting things up in Scotland. And I want to break out into car insurance across the UK. How does Scottish Farmers Friendly Insurance Company find customers? It needs customers. It can't market to customers. It doesn't have enough money to market, to have its own TV adverts, to do press adverts, to do all of that stuff. So what it does is it says, I will buy customer access from Compare the Market. So in actual fact, Compare the Market has two types of customers. It has us, individuals, and it has businesses that it's saying, you want to get your insurance policies out to a wide marketplace. We are the best place to get you customers. We can sell you customers. And that's what effectively they're doing. They're selling customers to these insurance companies. So it's really, really interesting how disruptive these kind of companies can be. And it's the same to a small extent with things like Nearcut. They're saying, you don't need to run your own website because there's no point in you running your website. You're a 4-chair barbers in the back streets of Cambridge. Where are you going to make enough money to run a website? We'll take that problem of getting customers to you away in exchange for some cash, but we'll give you customers. So all of these activities are really disrupting the way that the world works and so forth. So when you're looking at your business, and particularly when you're looking at marketing for your business, you should look at not what am I trying to sell? What is my product? It's what is the problem that I am removing from my customers in exchange for cash? And if you switch your marketing conceptions to I am a problem-solving business, what is the problem that I am solving? It will quite often help you understand better how to market. So Loretta, My problem here, I'm taking away the problem that a small business, am not legal experts. I have no idea what all this IP stuff is. It's complicated. It's going to take me time. It's going to take me effort. I've got better things to do with my time than worry about trademarks and copyright and stuff like this. We are here to take that pain away from you. We are here to remove that problem for you. Yes, you'll need to give us some cash, but we've got experts who can just smooth it all down and just take the pain away. And this is what we do as businesses. And if you focus the way your marketing works in that area, particularly in this business-to-business environment, then it really, really can help you dramatically understand how best to market and who to market to, what messages to give them, what calls to action to ask from them, what hot buttons you need to get pressed in order for them to go, yes, these are the people who will help me the most, so forth. So really quite cool stuff going on in that area. This disruptive activity is massively important for us all. And it's growing hugely, massively, massively, massively. And a lot of this is all about data and devices and so forth. Quick count up. Can you just mentally count up the number of internet connected devices you have in your house? Just think through all the things you've got in your house.
9.
Okay.
11.
You can go into the chat window. Typing in your chat window how many you have. 11, Jamie, 9. Okay. Loretta, any guess? 7, including worktop laptops. I think, Loretta, you're underestimating quite a lot there. At the last count in our house, we had 25, and there are 3 of us. We've got 3 Alexas, 4 Alexas. We've got a printer, which is behind me, which is connected to the internet. We've got a TV, which is connected to the internet. We've got a cable box, which is connected to the internet. We've got 4 laptops. We've got 4 tablets. We've got 4 mobile phones. You can see how quickly it all adds up. We've got a CCTV camera sitting in the corner. We've got a couple of networks attached storage devices. Yeah, it grows and grows and grows. And these devices are all collecting information about you, from you, for you. There you go, Loretta. We're now talking about having 4 or 5 devices at least per person. We're now up to probably 6.5, 7 devices per person, quite easily within any house. And it is quite frightening where all of these devices are, and they're collecting data about us. And of course, if you happen to have a Tesla or something like that, then you've got that is another bunch of devices in the car, and the car itself is a connected device. So here are some, 2 in your household. So you've got TV, printers, car, So your printer is an internet connected printer then, Loretta. We have a printer sitting behind me, and I'm going to see if I can turn my video on and see if I can show you it to there it is, sitting there, little printer in the corner there. And that's an HP printer. Anyone heard of HP Instant Ink?
Yep.
Yes? Who uses HP Instant Ink? No?
I don't use it, but I know one.
You do, Sienna, yes?
My mum does.
So you're muted, I think. Let's have a look. Your mum does. Excellent. Yeah, that's great. It takes away the problem of always running out of ink. And you'll always run out of ink, guaranteed to run out of ink the minute you have an important document you need to produce. And so what it does is, in exchange for a regular monthly sum of money, it talks to HP and says, hi, HP headquarters, I'm running low on ink, please send me some. And it just sends you some ink. It sends you some color ink or some black ink or whatever it happens to send you. And what happens, you happen to need. And this is really cool for you because you never run out of ink. You know how much money you're going to be spending on printing every month, which is pretty good. But it is massively cool for HP because it means that HP know that you're putting in genuine HP cartridges into the printer and not some random knockoff cartridges you found on the market stall. It means that they don't have to sell those cartridges at 50% off to Ryman's or WH Smith's, and then the Ryman's, WH Smith's take a 50% cut in all of those ink cartridges. They take all of the money themselves. So they disintermediated, and that's a really quite cool word for a lot of what these companies do is disintermediation. And they can actually take out the middleman from these deals. And they also lock you in. It locks you into buying it from them, and you're not buying it from anybody else. They've taken away the pain, but they've kept you in this nice, lovely, cozy walled garden, which is HP's monthly rental service. And it's the same, Nespresso do the same thing. Other companies which do it now, is a company called Cornerstone. If you have a man in your household who might possibly be interested in Cornerstone as a service, just type it in here. And Cornerstone is a company which basically says, how many times a week do you shave? You shave 2, 3, 4 times a week. Great, every 6 weeks, you're going to need X number of razor blades. I will send you those razor blades in advance so you never run out. So you don't have to, and most men are intensely lazy and won't bother to check to see whether they're running out of razor blades. They'll just keep on using the same razor blade until it rips the facing apart. And what they will then do is think, oh God, I've got to go and buy some razor blades, and they'll never get around to doing it. And what Cornerstone does is it takes the pain away, and it means that they just get the razor blades automatically. And you can go onto their website and you can, get some in advance, and you can delay it and so forth. One of the cool things that Cornerstone are now doing as a company, if you go to their website, you'll see they're also selling all sorts of other stuff as well. So they're selling vitamins and shampoo and hair care products and all sorts of other weird and wonderful things, including Viagra. Yes, they do sell Viagra. Has raised eyebrows there from Jamie. And what they're doing is they're basically cross and upselling their customer base. So they're saying, you've got one thing from us, you rely on us, you trust us, you know you're going to get this stuff from us. We can sell you other things, which will also take away the pain if you're having to go to Boots and pick up Head and Shoulders or multivitamins or Viagra or whatever it happens to be, and basically just taking away that pain in exchange for cash. So these guys are doing a lot of this stuff, and these things are really interesting. On this screen, you've got obviously smartwatches. Who's got a smartwatch or has got a fitness tracker or whatever? I happen to have one. Yeah. Absolutely. Obviously, these things know massive amounts about us. The private insurance company that my company uses, if we want to have private health insurance, will offer you a cheap or a cut price fitness tracker. And as long as you do a certain number of steps per day and you do enough physical exercise in the week, they'll give you little vouchers and stuff like that to say, congratulations, well done. Of course, the incentive there is that because you're now fitter and healthier, it means you use their services less, so it costs them less money because they don't have to pay out the insurance to get you a heart bypass or treat you for high blood pressure or whatever because you're doing exercise. So, which way round is it good for and so forth. Of course, the other issue there is that large numbers of people have got this information about you. And so they know that you're doing a great deal of exercise and you're not doing your 10,000 steps a day and so forth. So when you do get a quote for health insurance, maybe your premiums will be a different price because they personalize the quote down to how fit and active you are. Quite frightening and quite scary stuff. Light bulbs. We have loads and loads of voice activated light bulbs in our house. Now, none in this room, but other rooms I can actually sort of yell and turn on various lights all over the place. And so Alexa, I can say, Alexa, turn on Romeo. That's now turned on a bedroom light in my bedroom. Now, interestingly, things like this could be used to identify problems with the aging population. So you can actually say, oh, the lights upstairs haven't been turned on for quite a while. Oh, they haven't been into the kitchen. The oven hasn't been on for 2 days. All of these kind of things could be tracked through all of this smart meter technology and smart light bulbs and so on. And, you know, if you've got a 75, 80-year-old granny living 100 miles away, being able to identify whether they've been moving around, whether they've had a hot meal in the last couple of days or whatever, could be useful both for you and for the health services, emergency services, and all this kind of stuff. It was actually a plot point in Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. They identified a house which has been used for a hostage because it had a smart meter and it identified that the house, which is usually used only for the weekends, was actually being used during the week. So all of these things can be finding huge amounts of information, huge amount of data about us. Other pieces of really quite cool technology. The screen, the touch screen on the window there. I've got friends in a company called Visual Planet, and they are then putting these touch screens into windows, into shop windows, so you can actually pull down information from estate agents and stuff like that by the window and stuff like this. What could be quite cool and interesting in this respect is that, you know, we have the Grafton Centre, which is one of the shopping centres in Cambridge, and there's a cinema inside that, and there's lots and lots of empty shops around. You can actually have these touch screens playing trailers for movies, and you can touch the screen and buy tickets using your Apple Pay on your phone or online. So you could actually be walking around, seeing an advert and buying online. And again, where does the digital technology kind of cross over with the physical technology? Where's the interactivity coming from? Well, that's coming from digital, but you're looking at a screen on a wall. What's the mixture there? Did anyone do much in the way of commuting in London before the whole lockdown thing? Yeah, yes, yeah, you did. If you're walking through the tubes, virtually every single poster on the walls, the big posters, are for books or for movies. Therefore, you know, blockbuster books and, you know, the huge, great, chunky ones you take on holiday and never read, or for movies. Wouldn't it be cool if you were standing on the platform waiting for your train to be able to scan a QR code in the corner of one of those posters and download a sample chapter of that book? And then read that sample chapter on the tube, like it, and then buy the rest of the book when you get home. Why they haven't done this, I have no idea why they haven't done this. It just makes so much sense that you could do this, because you could link the physical offline marketing with an online call to action with a sale in a nice clean loop, rather than having a book on the wall and you think, oh, that'd be interesting. And then you get on the train and you completely and utterly forget the title of that book, and you'll never buy that book, because you know, who's got time in their heads to store this information up? Are there interesting, cool devices on here? These bus stops. Many of you have probably seen bus stops like this knocking around, telling you when buses are going to be turning up. I worked very briefly for a company which did these. And they actually have a computer on the bus, and the bus talks and says, I'm in X position, I'm 400 yards down X road. And the bus stops actually listen to this and go, based on where that bus is and how long it usually takes it to get from that point to where I am at the moment, it's going to take 8 minutes to get here, and put that information up. So that information is actually real-time information based on exactly where the bus is and how fast the bus is moving at that particular time. And you can now get apps to do this. There's a few housing estates which are going to be kind of trying to be car free. And what they will have is they'll have little devices like a smart meter type thing by the door, where it will show you when the buses are going to be turning up at the bus stop outside your house. So you can actually go to the bus stop knowing that the bus will be turning up very, very quickly and won't have to wait for the bus for ages and stuff like this. So it's really quite cool stuff. And of course, they'll be able to send you the tickets and track you and, you know, have your watch being used as a payment mechanism so you don't have to use cash. I can't remember actually the last time I gave anybody cash for anything. It was last, yeah.
Ages
Did you
ago.
last use a £20 note? You know, it's just, really? It doesn't exist. You know, no such thing anymore. So all sorts of things are going on in our worlds, which are really quite cool and interesting at the moment. Yeah, these numbers are going up. Digital is probably way over 30% now in terms of the overall marketing spend. And these numbers are now kind of pointless because, you know, do you classify a bus stop paper poster with a URL or a QR code on it as part of your digital marketing spend or part of your offline marketing spend? It's an offline piece of material for an online call to action. So which one is it in? We don't know. Who knows? So yeah, numbers like this are interesting and they're good for showing your boss. But to be honest, it doesn't matter anymore how you define online and offline spend. It really, really does not matter. And so it's a transformative activity. We are transforming the way things are working. We are disrupting models all of the time. All of the models we've talked about today, from online betting to Deliveroo to Airbnb to Cornerstone to HP Instant Ink, are disrupting the model, are disrupting the way that people work and do business. It's changing massively the way that we work. And it's everywhere. It is sitting in the corner, playing your radio. It is turning on lights. It is printing out stuff and telling HP that I've printed 50 pages today. It's everywhere, and all marketing is linked together now. And it's totally pervasive. There is no kind of business. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it is. It's this kind of information is predicting of health outcomes and so forth. Jerry, I don't know quite when you put that through there, but I was looking at multiple screens. I'm doing the multiple screen thingy here. So yeah, we are really, really changing the way that we are working in that respect. It is quite frightening. It's quite scary, but quite exciting as well. Now, when you're looking at the marketplace, when you're looking at the digital marketplace, and when you're looking at your business, Pastel is a really interesting model. And as I said before, the interesting thing about digital is that it is changing the way that these words work and fit together. Because you've got technological, environmental, social, legal, regulatory, they're all kind of a bit together now because this legal regulatory thing, GDPR, obviously, I'm sure, Loretta, you're doing a lot of work in GDPR. And compliance and so forth. And all of us have to worry about GDPR and compliance. And Jamie, you may have some interesting things there in terms of people having used signing up for emails and stuff like this from one restaurant, and you can't then use the information necessarily for the other restaurant chains, depending on how you've worded the information and so forth. And this explicit, you have to give explicit permissions and so forth. Yep. One interesting company that I've just seen very recently, John Lewis, actually has not got GDPR compliant terms when it comes to it when you're doing online shopping with them. You have to opt out of certain things. Another one that does that is a plant supplier called Thompson & Morgan. They are massively GDPR not compliant, and they don't realise that they're not GDPR not compliant. And this social thing, this whole stalking thing, this whole changing the way that we work and so forth, we have to really do a lot of analysis of these. But when we're looking at the marketplace, and when we're looking at what's going on around the world, don't feel, oh, I've got to do a pestle analysis within task 1, and so therefore I will do every single piece of this. Only pick the elements of these things that are particularly relevant to your organization. So environmental, you know, canned cuisine, what is there environmentally, which is an issue there? Yeah, if there's nothing major there, then just don't bother doing it, because otherwise you end up wasting words in your assignments talking about stuff which is completely irrelevant. How can we merge these things together and so forth? So it's a good starting point, it's a good framework, but don't be kind of wedded to it and to the exclusion of common sense, basically. And this is a really interesting, this is, who can tell me what this model is? No? Porter's 5 forces.
Yeah, that's it. Think about them.
And basically, Porter's 5 forces, if you look at the industry around the world, Porter's 5 forces is an amazing model. It's one of the crowning glories of business administration, business and marketing in particular. And what I always advise everybody to do when they're doing their task 1A is to look at their competitors and their customers and their products and services in the context of something like Porter. Because it's very easy just to say, oh yeah, my competitors are blah and blah and blah and blah, and not really analyze why they're competitors, what's important about them, what makes them competitors of you. Something like Porter will help you actually contextualize that information, contextualize that analysis to say, yeah, they are competitors because they offer the similar products and services. Or if you're looking at people who are new entrants, to say, well, yeah, they can specialize in something, or, you know, with delivery services and stuff like this, they are, you know, switching products and services. Instead of people coming to a restaurant, people are now getting stuff delivered to them. So it's changing the way you work. You're no longer incumbents like the Tickle Arms, which is in Whittlesford. You know, it's a nice restaurant in Whittlesford. Yeah, people can get a takeaway delivered from Great Shelford. You know, a really nice Chinese meal from Great Shelford or something like that. So why do they? So your competitors may have changed because of the way that the world is working. So all sorts of really interesting things going on in that respect. And this is a really good model. So I would always say, if you can take a look at task 1A in the context of this competition, Porter's 5 forces thing, it can be really, really valuable for you. And, you know, Loretta, I mean, you and I aren't served by Deliveroo, aren't served by Just Eat, because we're just too far away and it's not economic for them to do us, to serve us. You know, Love Film was closed off. Love Film used to be owned by Amazon, where basically you'd say, I want to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they'd send you the DVD of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you'd watch it, and then you send it back, and then the next movie on your list would be sent to you. We don't do this. I mean, we've got DVDs in our house, and we barely ever open a DVD and put it in a DVD player, because we have Netflix, because we have Amazon Prime, because we have BritBox, because we have all of these other services. We just never bother to get DVDs anymore because we've got fast enough broadband. But what Love Film did, I said, well, there's so few people out there who are using our service, we're just going to close the service. And then he had huge numbers of people complaining, but oh, I live, you know, 3/4 of the way up a Welsh valley and I can't get fast broadband. To which Love Film's attitude was, you know, I don't care. I'm just going to not bother serving you, because if you can't get Amazon Prime, then really I'm not interested in you. And that was their attitude. And it's the same with a lot of these emerging banks as well, you know, Metro Bank and stuff like this. You know, yeah, we don't do physical stores. We don't do cash. We don't do checks. We don't handle cash and stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, there's no internet places. There are still places with no internet, but places like Love Film and Netflix and everything else were saying, well, we don't really care. Really interesting one. Blockbuster Video had the opportunity to buy Netflix for tens of millions of dollars and decided they weren't going to bother buying Netflix for tens of millions of dollars. They were just going to carry on doing videos from stores because that worked. That was a decent model. It's a classic example of how failing to do a Porter analysis of the competitive environment basically closed down a business. I think there's one Blockbuster store left in the entire world now. So yeah, this Porter was, if those guys had actually done this and started looking at it and going, oh, actually, you know, people can do this, they can switch. Suppliers, you know, Disney Plus, streaming service, they can bypass this stuff. Lots of issues at the moment with the cinema chains complaining bitterly that the movie platforms are actually selling stuff out online now. And so saying, well, you know, how the hell are we going to sell that 6-month-old popcorn in the machine if you're not sending us movies anymore? Some big issues there. But there will be some interesting things there. Cinema will still exist. I personally believe that things like cinema will still survive because there are some things which are experiential that things like cinema just work for. You know, a bunch of mates going to see one of the latest Marvel Universe movies and stuff like this. It's that kind of experiential thing that makes you want to see it on the big screens with the whole cinema vibrating and all this kind of stuff that even a 40-inch TV just won't give you. So there's some really interesting stuff going on in that area there. And you know, the high street obviously for the last year has essentially been dead. And places like you know, John Lewis closing down lots and lots of their department stores. I actually think that personally, John Lewis has maybe gone a bit too far with their closures, because they're now citing to say, well, you know, 25% of our sales are online. Over the lockdown, you know, we've been able to still manage to sell online, so we don't need physical stores anymore. And I'm wondering with places like John Lewis, whether people are buying online because that's the only way they can buy from John Lewis, or whether that is the way they actually really want to buy from John Lewis. You know, silly things like pillows and bed linen and crockery and you know, all that stuff. Yes, I can buy it online, but you know, there's still part of me which wants to say to look around and get ideas and so forth. So I think that they may have gone a bit too far. You know, there's some really interesting things which are going on in here. Online shopping is obviously massive. We've all been doing it recently and so forth. You know, places like Ocado are massively popular and things like this. But this is a really interesting one, which is Waterstones. You know, how does Waterstones survive in the world of Amazon? Okay, and this is really a difference between functional shopping and experiential shopping. If you know the title of the book that you want to buy, because it's on a reading list for a university course, or because you've been recommended it through Richard and Judy's book club, or whatever reason why that is the book I want, you go to Amazon and you click a few clicks and the book turns up tomorrow. Yep. So, and that's very functional activity. This is what I want. I will go there, I will pick it up, and it will turn up on my doorstep tomorrow. Fantastic. What I always have issues with is my mother-in-law, and you'll find over the next 8 weeks, my mother-in-law will turn up quite a lot of the times. This is not a Les Dawson bunch of jokes. It is really my mother-in-law. Every Christmas, my mother-in-law says, I want to buy Carl a book for Christmas, because it's kind of tradition. It's been for nearly 30 years. She's bought me a book for Christmas. What book would he like? And Paula, my wife, says, oh, can you go on Amazon and have a look and see if you fancy any books? How do you go on Amazon to look for a book that you fancy? It is physically impossible. It is just, there is just too much. There's too many things there. You go onto the Amazon, I don't know where to look for a book I fancy. It's just not, it's not a thing you can do. But what you can do is you can go into Waterstones, and the tables generate so much of Waterstones money. They are the things which make Waterstones money. The bookshelves don't make money. The tables make money. You wander in, you see some books, you pick up a book, you flick through it, you read the back, you read the front cover, you read a couple of pages. This looks interesting. Oh, it's 3 for 2. You'll find another 2 books on that table, and you will go and you will buy those books. And that is experiential shopping. You are experiencing the books, and you are seeing books that you didn't know existed, titles you didn't know existed, authors you didn't know existed. And that is how you buy those things, and that's how you purchase. You can't do that in Amazon. It's just not a practical proposition on Amazon to do that. So that is how places like Waterstones survive. And that is why John Lewis's will continue to exist, because you don't know what TV you want. You don't know what laptop you want. You don't know what curtains you want, or cushions, or whatever you want. You just know you want something in that area. Going in there, finding it, picking it up, looking at it, checking it out, buying it is what you do. And you can't do that online. So there's always going to be things that you can't do online. And, you know, sitting at home in front of the telly, eating a meal which has spent half an hour on the back of a motorbike is never the same as going to a restaurant. It just isn't. And it's that experience. It is that feeling. It is that luxury. It is that having it brought to you, you know, straight from the kitchen, put in front of you, beautifully plated, beautifully arranged. That is what you're spending money in a restaurant for. Not the actual physical food. It's that experience and that luxuriness and that joy of those kind of things. It costs more money to go to a restaurant to eat pretty much the same food. I mean, but we do it because of those other things rather than just the pure calories. You know, if it's all about calories, we would never eat out. It's not about calories, it's about the experience. So that's where we need to look at to see, where does our business fit? How can are we an experiential business? Loretta, are we about people? We're talking about people there. There's only so far you can go online before you actually need to speak to a human being, to actually have that relationship between two human beings and go, yeah, I'm going to trust you with this part of my business. You are people I can believe in. I'm going to give you money, and you're going to take away my problems. And that needs people. Some parts of the chain you can do in advance of that. Other parts, you need the people. Without the people, it just doesn't work. So these are really, really important things we need to understand, and how we do this. It's all about experiential versus functional. It's almost as if I actually write these slides and know what I'm talking about. You'll notice I've been speaking for an hour and a half and I haven't got any notes. I don't do notes. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but I just don't do notes. I talk. And we've talked about all these other things. Personalization. It's really important. Later on, we'll be doing a lot more about personalization, targeting, profiling, the techniques, the technologies that we use for that, and a variety of bits and pieces. And I'm going to stop there because I'm exhausted and I've got no voice left. And you probably, hopefully it's been useful so far. And I shall see. And what I would like you to do after this now is to look at your business critically through the lens of what we've been talking about today. How does your business work? How does your business solve problems? Where in the customer journey can you use digital, and where you need to use humans? And so just to basically understand what you're doing and what things you're facing and so forth, just to give you some ideas about how your business fits in the context of the world. Is that good?
Yeah, sounds good.
And I'm going to stop recording now.